Let me see if he. Oh, my phone's outside. No, I'm thinking he might have tried to give me a message. Yeah. You want to go get the phone? Okay. It's in the door. Sure.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Now, from the world's most famous beach, from where beach racing began, it's the Legends of Racing radio show. Live from racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill in Ponce Inlet, Florida. The Legends of Racing radio show. And your host, BuzMcKim.
Thank you. And you remember that thing that was going around years ago the kids were into, Where's Waldo? Well, today it's Where's Godwin? We are scheduled to have motorsports writer Godwin Kelly from the Daytona Beach News Journal, and I know him. I know he's going to be just fine. He might be a little bit late, but I'm sure he's going to show up. So we're going to go ahead and kind of fly along on one wing for a little bit until he shows up. He'll be worth it, though, I promise. He'll definitely be worth it. Before we start, did anybody watch that truck race from Eldora the other night? Huh? Was that great? Fantastic. I mean, that's real racing. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. Why don't we get a letter writing campaign to NASCAR, see if we can get Xfinity put a race on there. That was like good old time racing. Absolutely fantastic. So I was, growing up on dirt tracks, I was kind of in my element right there. Also this past week, my wife and I ran up to Stewart, Virginia, to Glenn Wood's 93rd birthday party. Glenn Wood, the founder of the Wood Brothers Racing Team and a member of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, along with his brother Leonard. And it was really neat deal. They had about 150 people there. Bobby Allison came, Rex White, both members of the Hall of Fame, both NASCAR champions were there. And the entire family was there. Of course, his brother Leonard and his other two brothers, surviving brothers, Ray Lee and also Delano. Delano he was a jackman of the team, a tall, thin guy, very athletic. And this guy could jack an entire 600-mile race at Charlotte and never have one hair out of place. He had the best hair of anybody in all of NASCAR. And he's still a pretty good-looking fella. And their sister Crystal was there, too. Crystal is the family historian, and she's got this hobby of making these incredible greeting cards by hand and for all occasions. And you just, she just hands them out to people. They're all made with love. And, the racing team started out under a great big beech tree that's about 250 years old. And a lot of times, in fact, we got a card this week from her. She'll take a leaf from that beech tree and work a card around it, and put it in the card. And the tree is really a pretty interesting. In fact, it was voted one of the 10 greatest trees in the state of Virginia. And they started out right underneath that tree. They were shade tree mechanics. And the one branch that they used to use for the chain hoist for changing engines is still there. And they call it the home place. And that's where his father built the house in the 1920s. And his brother Ray Lee lives there in that same old place. So they're just an amazing family. Their values and their caring for people and their ethics. And it's something that you just don't see in the world anywhere, and in a lot of sports it doesn't exist. But they're really a throwback to the way things used to be. So we were really honored to be a part of their celebration. And they have a big museum there, too. It's the old race shop. They had built that shop. And about 2 years later, they ended up moving to Charlotte to be closer to all the technologies. But there's a big, beautiful shop sitting there empty with all these old race cars in it. And they took the front of the shop and they made this beautiful museum out of it, just thousands of artifacts. They have Leonard's 150-mile-an-hour lawnmower that he built. Leonard is a mechanical wizard, and he built this radio-controlled lawnmower that is, it's a monster. And he says it'll do 150 miles an hour. So you never know what he's going to come up with next. But anyway, that was our week. Worked out real well. Oh, went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame on the way up and had to see all my old buddies. And they have a fantastic exhibit called 1948, the Prototype Year. And it celebrates the first year of NASCAR competition. Of course, that was all modifieds that year. They weren't able to start what we know as the Cup Series until mid-1949 because American auto manufacturers had not gotten back up to production because of World War II. So they ran the first season, and actually the first season and a half, with the old modifieds. But Bill Blair Jr. dug out one of his father's old modifieds that was laying out in a shed since the mid-50s. And this car had actually competed in the 1948 season. And we call it, well, we don't, they do. They call it the tetanus special. You don't want to get near it because if you cut yourself, it's going to be Tetanus City. But it's still got the lettering on the side of it. And it's got, coming out the deck lid, right, the trunk deck, great big cans like this where the exhaust pipes came out straight out the back of the car. Unbelievable. There were rumors that it may have been a moonshine car. There's a good chance it might have been. And then Ray Evernham donated a couple of cars to the exhibit. A beautiful Curtis Craft Offenhauser midget, one of the prettiest ones I've ever seen. The Indianapolis Museum sent over Maury Rose's 1948 Indy-winning Blue Crown Special. It won actually back-to-back years in 1947 and 1948. I can't even tell you what it was appraised at. Kevin Sleesher, who was the director of exhibits, he kind of shuddered when he heard the value that they put on it. He's thinking about putting a great big glass case over the top of it so nobody can get even near it. And then Glenn McClone, who a lot of folks here in town know, he was a tremendous car builder, and he loved the old stuff, and his workmanship was fantastic. He built an old track roadster out of a 25 Ford T-body. And, NASCAR was going to have a roadster division when it was founded in 1947, and they actually had a separate sheet for the roadster rules in the 1947 rule package. Several representatives from Midwestern roadster divisions, sanctioning bodies, were at the meeting at the Streamline in 1947, but shortly after NASCAR got up and running, it seemed to be too dangerous. The roadsters were just too scary, and Bill felt there was way too much of a problem ahead, so he dropped the roadsters. But there is that roadster with the old flathead engine in it that would have been part of the 1948 season. So it's a really neat deal. If you're going up toward Charlotte, you got to check it out. They're going to have it on display, that particular exhibit, until about January or so. So I think you'll enjoy it. Got a piece of artwork back here this week. This is Fireball Roberts, and I brought that because Godwin Kelly had written Fireball's biography, and he did this a number of years ago in conjunction with Fireball's fiancée, Judy Judge. And of course, Fireball was from Daytona, and he was fearless, and I think we have a little rain coming. You ever have one of those days? Yeah. So anyway, Fireball, he won the 1958 Southern 500 with that 57 Chevy. And 4 different drivers had gone out through the guardrail and ended up outside the track, tore down about 200 or 300 feet of guardrail. And the Speedway officials said, well, we're not going to be able to stop the race to fix it. So you guys are just going to have to take it easy and stay down on the low side of the track so you don't get hurt. So Fireball said, the heck with that. He said the fastest way around the track is the top groove. So as you can see, he's in the top groove right along the guardrail, or what guardrail isn't. And thank you. And he won the race. So I entitled that picture "Running on the Edge," because he really did run on the edge that day. And so we thought it'd be appropriate to bring a piece of Fireball Roberts artwork in to go along with the Fireball Roberts biography. How about that? We might have a special guest after the next break, and I'll see if I can convince him to come up here and tell us some good stories, truthful stories, no lies, no embellishment, Only straight truth, right? So we'll see how that works out. We're going to be breaking here in just a bit for our first commercial break. And we certainly do appreciate all our sponsors. So we'll be back in just a minute, folks. Thank you.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. You're right in the middle of all the action. Daytona International Speedway, the airport, One Daytona, Florida's newest entertainment and retail destination, and of course, the world's most famous beach. You'll love our newly remodeled 1- and 2-bedroom suites, along with our popular King Studios. You won't need your full kitchen, as Homewood Suites Daytona serves up complimentary breakfast and evening social. It's like home away from home. Go to HomewoodDaytona.com for Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, BuzMcKim.
Hey! All righty. Hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a question from the audience here. Is Tony here from Ponce Inlet? Tony, you got a question you want an answer? Here we go. All righty. Would you mind stepping right on up to the microphone?
Yeah, I'm just curious, what do you think it's going to take for NASCAR to run another series on dirt?
Yeah.
I mean, a sponsor?
Right. Well, I think after that show last night and the turnout they had and the response they got and the action and the quality of racing, I got to believe that the front office really ought to be thinking, thank you, Tony, appreciate that. They really ought to be thinking about that. And I had mentioned that to Glenn Wood's son, who, he and his brother Eddie now run the Glenwood racing team. And he said, no, it'll never happen. You'd never be able to talk the Cup guys into running. But the Xfinity guys, you might be able to talk them into it. And I don't see why they couldn't at least give it a shot. And you can run those big cars on the dirt track. ARCA does it several times a year. So I know there would be probably maybe a monetary factor. But heck, I'm thinking every team has its stepchild car. And, they could rework that for the dirt for a one-shot deal. And if it works out, continue that year in, year out. But I'd be all for it. Love dirt. That's where racing came from. And I don't know. How many would like to see another dirt track race, another series, huh? You think? All right. Very good. Okay, well, maybe we can get Mike Helton up here one day. Talk to him. That'd be kind of nice, wouldn't it? I think we'd enjoy that a bunch. And but, Humpy Wheeler had a really neat deal on his Facebook page today talking about how it was fantastic and how it's something that really should be considered. Very much so. And hey, why couldn't you run 2 truck races? Why not? You're getting a great crowd, and it's giving those guys a chance to kind of spread their wings a little bit. Like Christopher Bell, who's I think is one of the greatest talents going on today. He was discovered at Eldora a couple years ago, and Chase Briscoe kind of proved himself last night, along with Grant Enfinger. So, Stuart Friesen, one of the better truck drivers. He cut his teeth on dirt. Still runs dirt modifieds, and so I think there's a real possibility there. So let's keep our fingers crossed, right? I have another question here from Norman Deach. Norman, would you like to come up to the microphone? I remember when we used to race together at the Land a long time ago. He was known as Norman Deach from Ormond Beach.
Yeah, I'm a big Chase Elliott fan, and I'd sure like to see him win. I'd like to know what the problems are with Hendricks Motorsports, especially after I read about it in the News Journal this morning. Mm-hmm. And I've read the News Journal since 1952. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the reason that Hendricks is not with it this year?
Wow. It's I think it's a combination of several things. The reason that Hendrick isn't doing better than he is, the Chevys themselves are really struggling, all of them. And I'm surprised there's not more of an outcry from the Chevy teams. But you figure three of Hendrick's drivers are kind of like rookies, basically, wouldn't you say? And then Jimmy Johnson, for some reason, has kind of fallen into the abyss this year. And I don't know what the situation is there. He's been in a slump for nearly a year now. And, he came on great guns and won all those championships. And I don't know, maybe he's kicking back. But someone said, yeah, well, Jimmy will not, he's not happy driving a second-place car. So I'm sure Chad is probably being verbally abused, in the garage area. Pardon me. But I don't know. Maybe it's just this combination of things, getting the new guys, getting their feet wet. I think Chase is well past. Oh my gosh, here he comes. Look at that. I was just pontificating. Hey, everybody, how about Godwin Kelly? Fashionably late. That's wonderful. I guarantee this is going to be worth it, right?
Sorry I'm late.
No, it's all right. That's fine. Yeah. We have a quick commercial break. Commercial break? Oh, keep it going. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, okay. Now Norman, he just gave a really good. He gave us a good question. Why is Hendrick's Motorsports not winning? And I had a theory, and I'm wondering if we might have the same theory.
Well, first of all, let me explain why I'm late. Can I give my explanation?
Oh, please do, yes.
So my son's in town, and he's got a dog, and he's out of town. So I'm grandpa babysitting the dog.
Yeah.
And as I'm leaving Palm Coast, he gives me that sad eye look, and he's got to poop.
Your son?
No,
Oh, the
my dog.
Okay, all right.
So
Okay.
my next book is
Right.
Dogs Pooping, How It Affects Your Life.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but everything's okay now.
yeah, everything. It's all good. So anyway,
Yeah.
Hendrick.
Yes, sir.
Hendrick, number one, the body change. Okay?
Okay, right.
So they went from the Chevrolet SS to the Camaro, a form of the Camaro. Apparently there's like 20 different kinds of Camaros.
Well, I did not know that.
Yeah. And then, so we got that. And, when they go to the wind tunnel, the numbers, and they blow the car, as they say, the numbers were fine. So, but they haven't figured it out in race trim yet.
I see.
All right, so that's number one. Number two, you look at their roster.
Bingo.
They've got Alex Bowman, who has a couple of years of experience, but he's not a veteran by any stretch.
Right.
You've got Byron, William Byron, who basically learned how to drive on a game machine.
That's right.
and he applied that in the trucks and the Xfinity Series, and it worked out really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chase Elliott, he should have won by now. He's had several chances. It's just luck, basically. But the oddball thing, and I did a story about that today, is Jimmy Johnson, because he's always been the constant. And he hasn't won since last year. Mm-hmm. And that's what's really mind-boggling, is even in the years that Hendrick was down overall, Jimmy Johnson would win races and won a championship. So it's going to be interesting to watch how that develops, because they really are, not doing that well. And then you look at the whole Chevrolet group, and they're not doing that well, with the exception of Kyle Larson.
Right.
So now, one thing that was brought to my attention on the Twitter, you tweet, right?
No.
No?
No, I live in a Twitter-free zone.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea.
Okay.
Because, but anyway, I saw on my Twitter feed that Doug Ducart, Is that right?
Right.
Okay. So he left Hendrick in June of last year to go to Ganassi. And if you look at the correlation between Hendrick's performance and his departure,
Right.
there's definitely a correlation. So that's another factor.
Isn't that something?
So there's a lot of factors.
There is a lot of factors. Yeah.
Oh, and it's, it's raining outside.
Yes, it is. Liquid sunshine. Isn't that right? Well, we're going to break for just a second or two, maybe a little bit more than a second or two, but we'll be back in just a minute with our good friend Godwin Kelly.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Rhonda and Walt invite you to come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A and Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Racing's North Turn has been voted by you top 10 beach bar 7 years in a row. Next year, they're going for top 5. We're back from where it all began, Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, BuzMcKim.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. It's a great day to be indoors, snuggling up here, listening to racing stuff with our good friend Godwin Kelly. You know, Godwin and his cohorts, Zach Dean and also Ken Willis, they have their own podcast. It's Motor Mouths, right?
Daytona Motor Mouths.
Daytona Motor Mouths. Yeah, you want to tell folks about it a little bit?
Yeah, we started it more than a year ago, and every Wednesday we go into the 6th Street studio at the News Journal, and we just talk about, primarily, the subject is NASCAR. So if you like NASCAR, current events, we talk about that. We also talk about our favorite recipes. And
That's right up my wife's alley right there.
The state of the world, all kinds of things. We don't talk politics.
Good.
But pretty much everything else between politics and religion's on the table. But mostly it's NASCAR based. So.
This is good. Okay. You don't get into other forms of racing?
Since IMSA is owned by NASCAR, and they have their biggest race here, we do touch on IMSA at the appropriate time, but we don't go, head over heels.
Oh, okay. I got you.
We're very limited in our knowledge of it.
You see. So go with what you know, right?
Yeah, it's like every year they change the classes, and it's like you can't keep up with it. So.
Yeah. Well, now, I'm sorry.
Anyway, I just noticed it's raining a little harder now.
Yeah, it is. Anybody want to do a rain dance here to try to turn it off?
How about a beer dance?
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. All right, that's as good. If we get over 3 inches of rain on the deck, everybody gets free beer, right? Rhonda says, what? Huh? Yeah? Tomorrow free beer, okay? Tomorrow free beer.
It's always tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, now, are you a native Daytonan?
No, I was born in Evanston, Illinois.
Really?
Which is why I'm a secret Northwestern fan.
Okay.
I was born like a mile from the campus.
Right.
And also I'm a diehard Cubs fan.
Okay.
Which is odd for somebody that's lived in Florida all their life.
Right.
So what happened is when I was a beautiful little baby of 2, my family moved down here. And so I'm not a cracker. I'm a sort of cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my younger brother was born in Halifax, and he holds that against me all the time. I'm a cracker, you're not.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from New Jersey, and I got out before it rubbed off very much, so we've been here since I was a kid.
Well, did you have the accent before?
I don't think so.
No, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, it worked out well.
Yeah.
I can put it on if you want.
No, that's all right.
Okay, all right.
That's all right.
That's good. But now, you've been with the News Journal since you were about 4 years old, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was coming out of diapers, and they hired me. It's really funny that, so I grew up in Daytona, and my family really wasn't interested in racing.
Uh-huh.
I was sort of interested in it, little cars and trading cars and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But several times when I was young, I got the opportunity to go to races as like a VIP, and I thought, oh, this is great.
How'd you get that?
Well, my parents would make friends. My parents liked to go out and party.
Oh, that's
So they
good.
make friends with racing people.
Right.
And they made friends with the guy that was representing Pepsi at the time.
Okay.
And this is 1970, and he hooked us up, the family up with like really good tickets. I don't know if anybody remembers the Goodyear Tower or not.
Oh, yeah. Remember that Goodyear Tower in the pits? Right over one of the big pit garage areas? Yeah.
In turn
right.
4.
Yeah,
And
right.
Yeah, so that's where I watched the 1970 Firecracker 400.
Yep.
And then my job was to hand out Pepsi products in Victory Lane, which
Nice.
Victory Lane was chicken coop wire
That's right.
with a Daytona sign in the
Yep.
back.
Yep.
So here I am, I'm a long-haired freaky gnome, and I'm handing out Pepsis to, Donnie Allison and those guys.
Yep. And we have pictures to prove it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found photos of him in Victory Lane. You had more of a Beetle haircut, I think, didn't
Well, I
you?
had hair.
Oh, you had hair. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you must have done a good job because here you are years later, still in the sport.
Yeah, but I don't know if Donnie ever won another race.
I think he did.
Yeah.
And if he didn't, he probably wouldn't have blamed it on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's right.
Yeah, when the team came to Victory Lane and I was in there,
Yeah.
I got the double take looks from like every guy on the team.
Really?
Yeah, because I was out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I had like hip hugger stance. And,
nice.
A weird shirt and a Beetle haircut, and all these guys
Yeah.
had crew cuts and whatnot.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you did not have a country feel to your ensemble.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
right.
I didn't at the time. I did. I didn't think about it. But now when I look at the pictures, I laugh.
Yeah.
'Cause it's-
Well, you were one of those Seabreeze kids, though, right? Seabreeze High School?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
crap.
see, we were mainland. We didn't dress like that.
Yeah.
We were very normal.
Yeah. You
Not
were,
too hip.
No,
Yeah.
you guys were a lot more moderate than we were.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were the hippie group.
Yeah. Well, being on the beach side, the surfer dudes and all that sort of thing, So.
I had a couple of hippie teachers.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have an art teacher. I won't say her name because she still lives here. But she dressed in the tie-dye.
Oh.
She had a tie-dye.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved her to the end of the earth. I mean,
She was a real babe, huh?
Yeah, she was very, she had a lot of effect on my life.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of teachers, next week we're going to have a former teacher who was also involved in racing and also involved in the suntan lotion business. Ron Rice is going to be sitting right in that seat right there, and he's going to be talking about his racing career with Donnie Allison. And, he took a Hawaiian Tropic car to Le Mans one year, and it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that might have been the car in '70 that won, the Hawaiian Tropic car.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah,
So-
so it'll be a lot of fun. So you'll get the racing perspective from a sponsor, and what it meant for him to be involved in the sport, and how it helped his products too, how it helped his company. Raymond Parks, whose cars won the first NASCAR race and the first 2 NASCAR championships, realized that it was beneficial for him to put his what they call novelty company, Parks Novelties, on the side of his race cars. Number one, it advertises businesses, which was cigarette machines, pool tables, and all this kind of stuff. And then he got to write all the expenses off. So it worked out extremely well for Raymond, and I think it kind of set the stage for businesses using NASCAR to kind of showcase their products and deduct all their expenses, too. Yeah.
Now, if it rained like this during the races on the beach, would they go? Would they run?
No.
No?
No. Now, in fact, I don't think I ever remember a race on the beach being rained out. Now, of course, they ran them usually in March, or the stock cars in February, the bike races in March.
Right.
But they did have to cut one short one year, I think in 1951, because it took them a little longer than usual to get everybody into the area for the race. And the main road back to town after the race was the beach. Well, they had to judge the tides, and the tide was coming in a little bit too quick, so they actually went ahead and cut the race short in 51 so everybody could get off the beach before the tide came in.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, I was wondering about if it could get weathered out or not, because it's on the beach.
Yep.
Half of it was on asphalt. So.
Right. So you really, over the years, you've kind of become one of the grand elder statesmen of automotive journalists. Can we say that?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it's great to be here still.
Yeah, that's right.
But, it used to be I was the kid at the News Journal. I mean, they'd call me the kid.
Yeah.
And for, 4 or 5 years, I was the youngest person that worked in the newsroom.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
And I watched the guys my age, and they would use these things, puff away.
Yeah.
And they're all gone now.
Yes, they are. Did any of them, in true old journalist tradition, have maybe a bottle of Jack in their desk?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That was mandatory.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, you have your ashtray overfilled and smoking. I mean, the ashtray itself would be smoking.
Yeah.
And then you'd have your bottle. And I never had a bottle.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a funny story.
What's that?
So we got bought. The original owner sold the News Journal in 2010. The new owner came in with all these rules and basically said, don't have alcohol at the office and this and that. And so we all looked in our desks, and it just so happens I had a bottle of Junior Johnson's moonshine.
No kidding.
I'm not kidding. It was buried under a bunch of stuff in my bottom drawer, and I was horrified. It's I was that close to getting, if they had found that. Of course, it wasn't open.
Yeah, okay.
And it still isn't open.
Really?
Yeah, I never opened it. I'm scared of it.
It'll put hair on your chest. Junior says you can use it as alternative fuel, too, if you have to.
Yeah. But, so anyway, but things have changed a lot in the newspaper business, and some good, some bad.
But at least you're employed.
I am fully employed as of my last contact with the News Journal.
Now, you think there'll ever come a day when they're going to have to push you to your desk in a walker?
Yeah, could be. I don't know. I'm working on, ever since the race in July a few weeks ago, I've been saying I'm going to start my diet.
Yeah, I know.
And so now it's got pushed back again because you said the magic word cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah.
So now, I got to have a cheeseburger. You can't come to a wonderful restaurant like this and not get a cheeseburger.
Yeah, they do have killer cheeseburgers here at the beautiful North Turn restaurant on the beautiful North Turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's beautiful.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, our beautiful daughter, Kimberly, is here today. This is her first visit to the North Turn restaurant. We've been coming here for 20 years, and every time we're here, she's somewhere else. So now finally, she got here. And we are just so thrilled to have you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
How about that? And it's funny. She was in her 20s, and she still hadn't gotten the racing thing. And we thought there's something wrong here. She's a fifth-generation race fan in our family, or she should be. We were going to get her DNA tested to see if she was one of us. And then she went to the Pepsi 400 one night, fell in love with Dale Jr., and she hasn't been the same since. So she made up for all those lost years, right?
Excellent.
We like to say everybody has a switch if you're not a fan. Her switch was Dale Jr., a good friend of ours who didn't care about racing. His switch turned out to be the Tide car. So, you know, everybody is a potential fan, whether they know it or not. And so just, you know, if you know anybody that is on the fence there, just see if you can find what their switch is. We need more fans, and we'll get into that after this next break.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. At Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees, it's all about making you happy. Beach Boys Embroidery can customize your athletic golf apparel, caps, hats, badges, buttons, magnets, backpacks, bags, totes, clocks, watches, oh, and of course, T-shirts. Sure, they're at 2033 South Ridgewood Avenue in South Daytona, and they're waiting for you to call now. 386-255-5880. Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, BuzMcKim.
Thank you, folks. Well, this has certainly been turning into a red letter day. It had a little bit of a rocky start. This is the only show that has ever been delayed on account of dog poop. So we're doing pretty good, though. Okay, well, here's a scenario for you. You know, now you were brought up in Daytona. You love Daytona. It's a beautiful city. The beach is spectacular, pristine, more or less. and here's Godwin Kelly walking down the beautiful beach, and he sees something on the beach. And he walks up to it, and it's a gold beer can. And you don't mind beer, do you?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, you know, you don't want this litter on the beach. So you pick up the beer can, and you can't quite figure out the brand, so you go ahead and you rub the sand off this golden beer can, right? And a genie pops out and says, "Thank you. You've released me from my prison. I'm going to give you NASCAR. That's my gift to you." What would you do?
I would probably be so excited I'd jump in the ocean and drown myself. That's my luck, yeah. Given the golden key, and then I do something stupid.
Yeah. What would you change?
Gosh, you know, it's just our world is changing so fast.
You're right.
And, you know, it used to be, you know, when we were growing up, you grew up here, it was Channel 2, 6, and 9, and maybe a little bit of the public,
Right.
you know. That was it. You know, and a transistor radio, so listen to WNDB.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And that was basically it. Now, I mean, there's so many choices and ways you can get your media content. It's just mind-boggling. And so I think what I would do is, and I think NASCAR's trying to do this, and I wouldn't even say they're late to the game, because they've been on top of this digital thing since they developed NASCAR.com in the 90s. But I think what they need, and I think what they're looking for, is a big-time media partner that can help them navigate this new world. And so that thing about them going to Goldman Sachs and, you know, trying to maybe sell part of their company, that NASCAR, to a minority owner. I think that has a lot to. I think there's something there. I think the only reason they're going to Goldman Sachs is because you need somebody at Goldman Sachs' their resources in order to set a market price for NASCAR. We all know what F1 costs. I think it was $8 billion, including their debt. So NASCAR is probably $2 to $4 billion. They want to nail that down. Get partnered up with one of these big media companies. The media companies are now they're coming together.
Right.
You know, at a rapid rate.
Oh yeah.
So they want to jump in, have their media partner that will help them get their digital signal out. And that's my theory, okay? That's
Yeah, it could be.
well, I better quantify that. This is not stuff I know for sure. It's just my theory.
Yeah.
So, but that would make a lot of sense. And you know, the way we consume, I don't know about you, but in the last year we've gotten Netflix and we've gotten Hulu.
Right.
And we've gotten older.
Yes.
That's all happened in the last year.
Yeah, really.
And so, and then you get stuff online, you know, different websites. And so I'm getting my media, NASCAR media content from a dozen different places now.
Right.
So anyway, that's the future is now. And NASCAR is just trying to find its place to, you know, build its foundation and start building out.
Yeah, well, there's a theory, too, is like, how do you get the attention of the millennials who aren't really automotive-based like we were?
Right.
You know, we love to work on our own cars, and, you know, I got a nephew who's 20 who just now got his driver's license, and he doesn't care to drive. I think there's a real issue with that generation, you know, that, trying to get a fire under them to get involved in something automotive.
Right, exactly. So, you know, it's going to take time. We've got the core, the NASCAR core that we knew is rapidly disintegrating.
Yeah, aren't we?
I'm hoping all my arms and legs stay on till the end of the hour here, but. But so what NASCAR is doing is they're trying to pull in new people. And see, in the late 1990s, early 2000s, they had Jeff Gordon, who was battling this old guy named Dale Earnhardt.
Right.
And it would just, you know, they put on a show. And Jeff Gordon was so urban, he pulled in those urban viewers and fans. And NASCAR grew exponentially. It was amazing. And then, you know, we all know what's happened since then. You know, many tracks have downsized, including our beloved Daytona International Speedway.
Indeed.
And so, you know, it's going through a change right now. We're in a transition. And I think 10 years from now, NASCAR will be just fine. But right now, the waters are churning.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, they've had speed bumps in the past, and you always end up coming back, and it might be in a different form, or we might have to tweak here and there. But you know, people always drive cars, and people who drive cars think they can race cars. So you do have a certain amount of interest right there. But you know, just to try to get them hooked again, find some more switches. Right? Yeah. How are we going to switch this thing on, right? So I think it's going to be okay. I want to be optimistic. I don't want to be pessimistic, because it doesn't do anybody any good to be a pessimist, right?
No, and I don't think in our lifetime. I hope we live a long time.
Yeah, boy, when you start talking like that.
I don't think in our lifetime we'll see the same numbers of interest that we had in the late '90s, early 2000s.
Right.
But there is going to be interest, and there are going to be new people coming in. And again, NASCAR is working toward that end with new facilities, more entertainment at the track, letting little kids in for free.
Yeah, that's a good move.
The Xfinity and Truck Series races.
Yep.
You know, so they're going to get them in. It's just a matter of time.
After last night, or the other night, I'd say more dirt racing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was terrific.
I know Tony Stewart's already asking about an Xfinity race.
Yeah, let's get a letter writing campaign, folks, okay? Let's help hold Tony out.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be super.
And the popularity of that Eldora race and the trucks, 6 years running now, they sell every seat. They're up on the grass, you know, watching a truck race.
Sure.
You know,
it's amazing.
What would Xfinity or Cup Series race
do? My gosh. Yeah. We were up at Glenn Wood's birthday party the other day, 93 years old. We talked to Len Wood, said, how about dirt for Cup? He said, no, never happened. But in this sport, you can never say never. You don't know what's around the next corner.
Yeah, I mean, they could be racing back on the beach in 10 years.
Oh, would you like to see that? Race on the beach again? Yeah, I think that'd be. Hey, we're going to run you for president. I think that'd be a wonderful thing. Absolutely. Yeah, so we still have so much more to talk about. We're running out of time. It's a terrible thing. But we're going to break for just a minute or so, and we'll be right back.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to the Janet Hale Foundation website. With this website, we hope to broaden our reach, to find someone like you to help us on our journey. Janet's journey started 40 years ago to ensure that all children had a toy under the tree at Christmas. Today, thousands of toys and clothing are donated for underprivileged kids. We need your help to continue our journey. Tour this website and find the Donate Now button. A small gesture can make a big difference in a young life. We need your help. Visit us on Facebook, Janet Hale Foundation, or call 386-256-0752. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, BuzMcKim.
Hey, thank you very much, folks. And we're here with Godwin Kelly. Could we call you a scribe?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
a automotive scribe, auto racing scribe.
Yeah, I changed my Twitter handle at one point to NASCAR Racing Scribe or Irish Racing Scribe.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
And I found out recently you can change your handle.
Yeah.
So right now I'm a NASCAR Life Form.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah, and I've added actually 50 followers since since I became a NASCAR Life Form.
Lovely. Well, I'll tell you what, though, his writing, his creativity, his craft isn't limited just to newspapers. He's got some fantastic books that he's written in the past. I've got 3 of the 4. This one here I love. This is Ray Fox, Daytona's own Ray Fox, Sly and the Stock Car Forest. How did this come about?
Well, Ray was approaching 90 years old, and he came to me, and he asked me to if I'd do a book for him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because I did the Fireball book, and then they had done the book on Smokey, or the series.
Yeah.
So I said, Ray, okay, you know, it's a lot. Books are a lot of work, Ray. And I said straight up, I said, Ray, you got to be like real honest with me. When I ask you a question, you got to tell me exactly the answer, even if it's something that you don't want to talk about. Blah blah blah. And so he says, okay, I'll do that, no problem. So we went to a place in Norman for our first interview. Mm-hmm. And it was Ray and his daughter and their friend Paulette.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got the tape recorder running, and I go, okay, Ray, tell me about your family. Tell me about your personal life. I know you've been married twice, and you have 8 kids. Tell me about your first wife and those children you had. Mm-hmm. And he looks at me and goes, nope, not talking about her.
Oh, gee.
Not going to talk about that woman. And then had this like string of profanity like that I can't say even in this room. And I'm like, my head, I swear to God, I went like this. I just went. So I had to get, you know, the daughter was there with us. Yeah. And after we had our first interview, I said, you got to help me out. You got to find, you know, give me names and when they were married and stuff. Because what happened was he lived up north.
Mm-hmm. Up north, yeah. North.
I can't remember where he was from.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, okay.
Yeah.
So in 47, he left his situation and came to Daytona Beach. Mm-hmm. And he actually drove straight down here, and he said he fell asleep on the beach on a hot day and woke up with the worst sunburn that anybody on earth had ever had gotten.
Yeah.
But once we started to, you know, crack through to get the information, and I talked to other people about Ray. It turned out to be a pretty good book.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, it's a great book.
There's one in there when he was in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And
With Olin?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ray Fox Jr. and somebody else were so terrified they hid under a truck when this was going on. And Ray Fox Jr. was, and this is, I forget who I talked to, it's in the book, and this book is 10 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
So the other guy said that Ray Fox Jr. was going, hit him, Olin, hit him, hit him, hit him, Olin, and get him, Olin. That's his son.
Yeah, Ray was not a warm, cuddly kind of guy back in those days.
He was not.
Now, we've had Olin here on the show, and it was one of the most colorful shows we ever had. It was so good, we're going to have him back for round 2, and I'm going to have him tell his version of that fight. I remember him telling me about that fight.
Yeah. It was, they were just, he's like one of the few guys that stood up to Ray Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And it took, a beat down for them to come to terms.
Yeah, and Olin's a little guy, but he's scrappy. Ray was tall and lanky and vocal, where Olin, he would just go at it. He wouldn't worry about the sounds. He'd get into the action. He was an action kind of guy.
Are better than words.
Absolutely. But if it wasn't for old Ray Fox, he's the one who really gave Junior Johnson his first big-time ride. Same way with David Pearson. He discovered David Pearson. And Buddy Baker gave Buddy his first win, and his father, Buck Baker, his last win. All these Hall of Famers are in there because of Ray. And Ray is on the list to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe one of these days he'll make it. I hope.
Ray Fox, by the way, that trophy they won in 1960, him and Junior, the dog track found it in their archives in Delaware.
Really?
And they shipped it down because this is their 70th anniversary.
Right.
And so that trophy that Ray and Junior are holding in Victory Lane is at the dog track.
Holy cow.
And it's Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club on Williamson.
Okay. Yeah. Go on out there, check it out.
I would say that, Daytona Beach Kennel Club, but it's not.
It's the Card Club too.
The Card Club.
Yeah. We're going to save the best for last, but this one here, I love this book. This was put out by Speed, and it's called Man-Made Thunder, and it is a doozy. There's photos in there I had never seen before, and it is absolutely one of my favorites. We went up to Robert Yates Racing one day to pick up some stuff a number of years ago, and the first thing we saw sitting on the table in the office was this book. And Doug Yates said that it was one of his father's favorite books. How did this come about?
Well, this is a weird story because out of the blue on my cell phone, I get a call from a number that looks like it's from outer space. I swear, it was like digits I'd never seen before. It turned out to be a publisher that was based in London.
Really?
So that's why the numbers were so weird. Mm-hmm. And she, it was a woman, she asked me if I was interested in writing a book about NASCAR. And I said, at first I thought it was like a joke, like Ken Willis had put somebody up to calling me.
No,
and they scrambled the number, and this was a big joke.
Right.
And I said, sure, I'm interested, here's my contact information. And so we talked, and she kept calling me, and we talked, and apparently, she never said this, but I was like a finalist to do the book. Like one of 3 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she never told me who the other people were, but after the book came out, and I went to Charlotte to, announce it, promote it a little bit, I found out who the other 2 people were.
Oh, did you really? Did they hold it against you?
Yeah, you could just kind of tell.
Okay.
Why? They were looking at me like, why did you get this?
Oh,
what did they want you for?
Oh, man. They knew talent when they saw it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
that was a great book.
That was a fun book to write. And again, all these books I've done, I always do like really fast. I did this one in like 5 months.
Oh my gosh.
I did this one in like 4 months.
And Fireball, yeah.
And of course, this one probably took longer because of Ray.
Yeah.
If Ray had been a little more cooperative, I probably could have gotten that one done first.
Right, but that would be against his nature, though. Yeah. Well, no, your other book was about Trevor Bain, right?
Yeah, I did after he won the 500, I did his biography, which is kind of funny because he's only 20 years old. In 2010, I'm doing a biography, So when did you come out of diapers? And,
Funny stuff.
How were you fed as a baby? When did you start solid foods?
Yeah, it captured my imagination. It really did.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And the interesting thing about these books is when you talk to people that knew Ray and knew Fireball and get their opinion of what was going on, that's where the fun begins.
You betcha.
Because usually the person that you're talking to specifically, doesn't want, he's like Ray, he doesn't want to give you all the information.
Yep.
And so filling in those gaps is the fun part. It's a hard part, but it's a fun part.
Oh, sure. We're going to have one more quick break, and then we'll be back to wrap it up, folks.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Rhonda and Walt invite you to come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's Original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A and Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's Original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Racing's North Turn has been voted by you top 10 beach bar 7 years in a row. Next year, they're going for top 5. We're back from where it all began, Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, BuzMcKim.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Godwin. Anyway, Fireball Roberts is still magic. The name is just, it was when he was alive, and now 53, 54 years after his death, it's still magic. And I know when Godwin came out with this book, there were people that named their child after him because they had been waiting for so long for a Fireball book. It had never been written, and he did this one in conjunction with Judy, his fiancée, right? And it is absolutely fantastic. I think the most poignant thing that I think I've ever read in any book is the diary that she kept when Fireball was struggling for his life those 30-some-odd days. It is amazing. It's in this book, and it's just really kind of heartbreaking. But he was quite a character, wasn't he?
Oh, my God. Fireball Roberts.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. I had one guy, I said, well, can you compare him to Dale Earnhardt? And he goes, don't bring that up because Fireball Roberts was his own man. Mm-hmm. You can't compare Fireball Roberts to anybody else that's been in NASCAR. Right. He was the first guy, the casual sports fan or even people that don't follow sports, they knew back then Arnold Palmer as a household name. They knew Bart Starr, and they knew Fireball. Right. Just as a name, just his name was out there.
That's exactly right.
And so, he was way before his time as far as he transcended NASCAR, which I think there's only 3 or 4 other guys that have done that. So.
Yeah, maybe Richard Petty. Yeah. But he had already signed a contract with Falstaff Beer to do it's a personal services contract, first one in the sport. And this is in 1964. He was going to retire and become a spokesperson, probably a broadcaster, very well educated, went to college, loved classical music. He was so unusual, so different than anyone else in the sport at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's just totally different person. He didn't graduate from the University of Florida. He left in his last semester because he got so fed up with it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, right.
I'm like, Fireball, just, 2 more months, man, 2 more months. But obviously, a college degree didn't really matter to him, and it didn't have any effect on his career. So.
Yeah, really. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. And you can watch us live or view previous shows on our Facebook page, Legends of Racing Radio Show, or our YouTube channel, Legends of Racing Radio Show, or blogtalkradio.com. Search Legends of Racing Radio Show. And coming soon, our website, guess what it's going to be called? Legends of Racing Radio Show.
No,
Thank you very much.
You're kidding me.
No, it's true. You can look it up. But how about another big round of applause for our good friend Godwin Kelly? It was fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you to Richmond and to Shane and the Grand Poobah, Mr. Mike. And next week, remember, next week is a former science teacher, Ron Rice, who's going to be here talking about his racing career with Donnie Allison and all that other stuff. He might even throw a little bit of stuff in there about Hawaiian Tropic and a new product he's got, and maybe some of the Miss Hawaiian Tropics. Who knows? You never can tell. Depends on what kind of, mood, what kind of mood he's in, right?
Yeah.
But I think it'll work out great. But anyway, much obliged, sir. And we are looking forward to helping you in any way we can. Even when you get old, we'll push your wheelchair around.
Well, let me just give my plugs. On Twitter, at Godwin Kelly, on Instagram, at Godwin Kelly, and newsjournalonline.com/sport/idiot. I don't know.
We can find that.
Yeah, you'll find that.
All right. One more big round of applause here, folks. Fantastic.
The Legends of Racing Radio Show originates live from the very spot where beach racing began, Racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. Join us next time for the Legends of Racing Radio Show with BuzMcKim.
So you can change your name. So I've got NASCAR life form. Isn't that funny?
That's beautiful.
And since then, I was under 4,100. I was like 40, 50.
That's amazing.
And since I added that NASCAR,
Yeah.
it's